Show tonight, everyone. Exciting show. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Point of No Return, the Babylon 5 Retrospective. This week on the show, we're going to be talking about episode 4 from season 3, Passing Through Gethsemane. And we also have a special announcement coming on later in the show. We'll talk about that in a minute. Before we get into that, though, let me welcome my co-host, the man who barely ever goes down below. It's Cam. Say hello, Cam.
Good evening, everyone, Babylon 5 fans, and Happy New Year, and welcome back as we return for our first show of the year.
It was tough, Cam? Like, we didn't have a show on, for like three weeks almost, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, it kind of threw me off.
I didn't want to get ahead, so I was like, I didn't watch the show until like yesterday.
So. Yeah, and just as everything's getting really juicy, too.
Yeah, this was a good episode. I really, I kind of liked it. We'll talk about that more in a minute. Anything else we need to talk about before we bring in our guest hosts?
No, I say we get right to it.
Panelists, jump right to it. Okay, we got lots to talk about on the show. So let's bring in our regular co-panelist, Death Angel Shadow, and also Madman, who's going to be our guest panelist tonight.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, however you want to put it.
Co-panelist.
And we think Jason will be joining us sometime soon.
Yes, I'm sure he'll be right on. And just so if anyone's out there thinking that, that the secret is so closely kept that even the wife of Death Angel Shadow does not know who the special guest is.
Nope.
So that's how secret we kept it. I got to say, I mean, if I had told my wife, she wouldn't have known anyway. Like, what? Who? So it didn't really matter.
Don't know who it could be.
Yeah. All right. Gentlemen, should we, does anybody got anything? Should we jump right into it?
Did we have trivia from last episode?
I think we did.
Do we have trivia?
Did we?
Ooh, that's what I forgot to do.
You didn't load the trivia?
No.
I didn't load the trivia.
Oh, man.
Oh, sometimes we forget things. I knew I forgot something.
That's it. We got to restart the show.
Restart the show.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. That's
Take two, guys.
That was the result. That's who's coming on.
I can buy a little bit of time with going over the episode summary to start while you fumble around and try and find the.
Well, I just had it right there.
Oh.
So let me just.
I saw it for half a
this
second.
Thing
there we go.
You got to pull it up, but that's matters of honor. I got to go with.
Oh no.
There you go.
There you go.
Day in the Strife. All right. So last week's episode of Day in the Strife. Which character seen previously becomes a recurring character after this episode? What favor does Londo ask of Delin? Let me switch this over. Why does Garibaldi invite Franklin over for dinner? What happens when Sheridan decides not to send the answers to the probe? And what happens when he does send the answers to the probe?
You
You know,
speak
this
of
is-
the answers there when day does.
This is hard to remember. It's like it was last year.
I know, it was like
It
a million
was.
years ago. So Talon is going to become a recurring character. That's the bodyguard, the Narn bodyguard guy with the sword. And of course, what favor does Londo ask Zilin to make Veer a Centauri ambassador to Mimbar, which she does do, or it gets sorted out because we see Veer leaving at the end of the episode.
Mhm.
Garibaldi invites Franklin over just because he likes his company, right? No, it's to ask about stims. What happens when Sheridan decides not to send the answers to the probe? It just flies away. And then it gets a certain distance away, and then he does send the answers, and it explodes. So,
surprise!
Sheridan was
Boom today.
Correct,
but not boom on the station.
He was the right guy. He was made the right. Okay. All right. So, Cam, you want to get started and get into our
Sure.
Quick summary, and I got the detailed summary here.
Yep. Episode, as you said, episode 4 of season 3, episode 48 overall, Passing Through Gethsemane, directed by Adam Nimoy, son of Leonard Nimoy.
I noticed that. Yeah.
Who's with Jason? Jason had him as a guest on Sci-Fi for Me in the fall of last year, I think.
He did.
Good episode. You should go watch that. Written by J. Michael Straczynski. Original air date November 27th, 1995, and it is 3:05 in production order, so a little bit out of order. Filming to air. Summary: a kindly monk finds himself assailed by strange objects and previously hidden memories. Lita Alexander returns to Babylon 5.
All right. Let's just say, before we get into the more detailed summary, let's just say hello to everyone who's in the chat. Jeanette is in the chat. Hello, Jeanette. We know who you are. And Deborah as well. And that is also the better halves of two of our guest panelists. Who else? Oh, Dave is here. Good to see you, Dave. Who else? Just going down. D. Hill Joette. Good to see you. Good morning. That's Dean. Good to see you. Who else? Usual suspects. Everyone is keen to find out what the big secret is. Yes. Oh, PB has just popped in. Good to see you. And it says we have 12 people watching. I guess a couple of you are just lurking in the chat. That's fine. No problem. Lurkers are from down below are always welcome. All right. So I'll get into my little more detailed, and we can then jump right into the show. All right. So the introduction starts. There's chess being played. Brother Theo is playing the captain, Sheridan, and brother Edward, who we find out, brother Edward, and Ivanov are talking about it, wondering who's going to win. This guy's in trouble, etc. Brother Theo and Captain Sheridan speak a little bit about religion, a little back and forth about that, and Sheridan gets his butt kicked. Ivanova is called away to the docking bay, and after we cut to that, Kosh comes out of the shadows and says there's somebody, basically says, hey, you got to see this, and Lita comes out of the Vorlon ship. So what is up with that? All right. Then of course, opening titles. So there's two things going on, A and B plot. The main plot, the secondary plot is kind of very much of a side plot. The main plot revolves around brother Edward, and the secondary plot revolves a little bit around Lita. I'm going to talk about what happens with Lita first. She, let me see here. Let's see if I can read my notes. Geez, who wrote this? So
Probably
Lita
you.
shows up. She she's talking to the Babylon 5 command staff, on how she got to the Vorlon homeworld. She tells a story. She basically says she's not going to tell you much about what I saw or anything. I'm not allowed to. Plus, you wouldn't believe it. That pretty much ends it. She gets they ask her to do a physical check up with the doctor, make sure she's good to go. We find out she's actually better than her health seems to be better than 5 years ago, which is a little bit suspicious. The Dr. Franklin is obviously a little bit suspicious about it. There's been a couple things that were wrong with her, like an iron deficiency that is now been fixed somehow. Londo meets Lita during in the hallway. She obviously does not like him. He wants to know about what's going on and says he'll pay big money to know what was going on in the Vorlon homeworld. She just sort of scoffs at him, like it's an insult to even suggest that. And when he threatens her with the Psychor, she basically threatens him back and says, hey, I can give you nightmares, and I don't have to do what the Psychor does. I don't have to follow the Psychor rules anymore because I'm not with them, which will be interesting for later on. So that's sort of the main things with Lita, the secondary stuff. Now, the main theme, the main story is focuses on Brother Edward, who he is one of Brother Theo's buddies. He's part of their religion and their group, and we see him coming in. He is talking to someone else from Babylon 5, basically saying that he's offering services. The Brotherhood is offering services. He tells her that his job is learning about the alien ideas of God. And during this portion, a black rose falls out of his bag. So says the woman he's talking to. He's like, I don't know where that is. I don't know how it got there. We then cut to Garibaldi watching some news program. Delenn comes in, asks him for a favor. The main thing, though, is, of course, that Garibaldi is watching this news program, which is talking about a criminal, a murderer, who's being mind wiped. And this will become important during the episode.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. Then Brother Edward is going into his quarters and sees death walks among you on the wall of his quarters. It calls Garibaldi about it. And when Garibaldi comes to see it, there's nothing there. Later on, Brother Edward is in a discussion with Delenn. They're talking a bit about religion. This is kind of interesting. We can talk about this later. It's kind of, we find out about a defining moment about Brother Edward for his idea of religion. And we also learn a bit more about the Mimbari religion, which isn't quite really.
A little bit, yeah.
So they say, yeah. As Brother Edward is leaving, he's leaving an elevator, going back to his quarters. He's touched by a Centauri on the shoulder. This might be important. He then starts to have a nightmare. We hear voices, the name Charlie. We hear, you killed her. And we see death walks among us again, written in blood on the wall. He has a bit of a vision. He's running through water. He falls over a woman who's obviously dead, lying in the water, and she has a black rose in her mouth. After the commercial break, Brother Edward is in his quarters, and he's thinking about these visions or memories that he had. Brother Theo then comes in and talks to him about these memories. And this is a bit suspicious because Theo says, Brother Edward's trying to sort them out. And Brother Theo's asking, hey, who did you tell about this? And maybe it's best to leave them alone, unquote. Yeah, that's a little bit, He decides not to leave them alone and does a computer search on these terms to try to find out what happens. Then Brother Theo comes and asks the captain for a favor. And his favor is to look into these sort of things and find out if Brother Edward was involved in something that no one seems to know about. In the meantime, Garibaldi comes to Brother Edward, tells him that there was no blood on the walls. We didn't find anything, all the chemical things. It's still working on it, but they didn't find any blood. So he's like, oh, okay, no problem. The computer search by the Babylon 5 staff by Garibaldi is completed. and we find that Brother Edward was a murderer some time ago, and he was given, as we talked about, the mind wipe by criminals, the death of personality. Um, Garibaldi and the captain find out the truth about that. And there was some sort of mix-up, and no one seems to know about. They thought he was dead, but he didn't join this order, this brotherhood. Meanwhile, Brother Edward is waking up, and he's discovering he goes off on his own, and Brother Theo comes up to him, and he says, "Hey, he gets a little bit of philosophical, talks about, hey, what would be like if you woke up and you discovered you were a monster, and then leaves. Brother Theo and the Babylon 5 staff and Garibaldi's people start looking for him. Meanwhile, Brother Edward has been waiting somewhere, praying, looks like, in some sort of church or something set up like that. And we find the relatives of his victims show up. They've been looking for him for 9 years, and they have found him. Meanwhile, the Centauri who touched Brother Edward, the Babylon 5 staff has figured out that, hey, maybe he's part of it. Maybe he tried to, break the mind wipe or something like that. They find out who he is. They get him and they interrogate him. He refuses to answer any questions, but then they throw a bag over his head, and Lita comes in and does her stuff on him and knows where he is. He says she's in Brown 47, I think. They rush off to go search for him to find him there. They find him. Brother Theo finds him first, and he's basically tied up on a cross. There is a very touching scene, a discussion about philosophy and forgiveness and your soul, which we can talk about. And Brother Edward dies. They capture the guy who was one of the relatives of the people he killed, and who had said earlier, the rest of these people won't, do anything to you, so I'm going to do it. So he's basically the guy who has done the damage, the torture that Brother Edward dies for. Then we cut, and the scene is a couple weeks later. The Brother Theo is talking to the captain, and then someone comes in, and Brother Theo introduces him to Captain Sheridan and says, hey, this is Brother Malcolm. And it's obviously the guy who murdered Brother Edward. Brother Theo talks a little bit about forgiveness and that sort of thing. And Sheridan is first, really in shock. And then he sort of seems to go over and shakes Brother Malcolm's hand. And then the last scene of the episode, we have Kosh and Lita and various glowing lines coming out of people and looking to be sucked into Kosh. And yeah, we can talk about that. That's a little bit
That's
so yeah. All right. So yeah, we can talk about that. All right, let's bring in Jason as well. Jason, welcome.
Hi.
All right. So that's the detailed summary of what happened on the episode, and lots to talk about. I'll turn it over to Cam.
Okay. We can, of course, hear everyone's opinion on this, but I think we've got basically an A and a B plot. Essentially, they do cross over a bit, but the A plot I would identify as the Brother Edward storyline,
definitely,
and then the B plot being Lita's return. And everything goes along with that. There's a lot of tidbits that come along as the characters, interact with some of the regulars. But that's what I've got. And we mentioned, Jason, before you came in, that this episode is directed by Adam Nimoy, who you interviewed last year. I thought it was in the fall. It was almost a year ago, though. And then Brother Edward is played by very famous character actor Brad Dourif. And Snob, what do you got to say about that?
I mean, I'm watching this episode, and I'm like, as soon as Brother Edward comes on, I'm like, why are you guys being so nice to that guy? He's the guy who murdered people on Voyager. What are you doing? He's a psycho. What are you talking to him for? He's gonna.
He
kill
betrayed
people.
Rohan.
He's gonna do. I actually didn't recognize him from that right off the bat. Later, I'm like, wait a second, yeah. But I was like, well, what's going on here? Yeah, I mean,
Mr. Suitor.
I think it's Mr. Suitor. I was like, what the heck? He's a psycho. Don't talk to him.
I think he's also the voice of Chucky, if I'm not mistaken.
He's got
Is he really?
He is.
The original voice of Chucky the doll.
Hey,
Yeah, but what was his original
I looked
name
him
in
up
the series?
afterwards. And he's got a huge IMDb. His IMDb is huge, and it's a bunch of Chucky stuff in there.
One movie ruined a whole franchise of toys.
I haven't. I didn't recognize. It didn't strike me. I'm like, hey, wait, Grimmer Wormtongue. Until I'm like, that's him. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we should start. We're not talking about the story, but maybe we should talk a little about him and his performance first.
Yeah.
But first, what was his name in the show? His real name?
Brother
in the show?
Edward.
No, Charlie Dexter.
Yeah,
Charlie Dexter.
Right.
What is Chucky's real name?
Oh no!
Oh no!
No,
Really?
It's Charles also.
Is it?
Yeah, it is.
What?
It's Charles. Not the same last name, but it's Charles. Also.
Hey, Charlie.
Watch out
Was
for
he
Charles.
Chucky before he went into this
Charles
show?
Lee Ray. That's the original name in Chucky.
Okay.
But I'm joking, but he did. This is B5 episode comes before he was on Voyager. So is it the same with Chucky or?
Chucky was before this, I think, right?
No, Chucky's in the 80s.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that. He's playing. It's a tribute to his performance skills, right, or his acting ability. Is that he's playing such a very mild mannered and pleasant, Brother Edward, throughout this. And again, a lot of times he's kind of an antagonistic character, not always, but oftentimes. And people in the chat were saying earlier, they really like Brett Dourif, as do I. And like I said, been in so many things. He's one of these actors that you've just seen through, over the years. How'd you guys like? I mean, what'd you think about the performance, without regard to the story, but just that?
I think it was a great performance by him.
Yeah,
I mean, he pulls it out every time. I mean, everything that I've seen with him in it, whether it's been X-Files, Star Trek, Deadwood, he gives it all. And the thing about it is, with even his daughter, if you see like his daughter's acting skills and him together, they're fantastic together. Also, it's just incredible how this family acts together.
Yeah. Jason, what about you? Yeah, seen any Brad?
Yeah,
Dourif?
no, like everybody said, Dourif always puts in a good performance, and he's got, and I think one of the things that makes him effective in this kind of character where it's just a little side of crazy, you're not quite sure where he's going to be. It's how he uses his eyes. And that's always what draws me in on his performance. I'm always looking at his eyes before anything else. I was like, okay, what kind of you can tell what kind of character he's playing by how big his eyes are. And they're naturally darker than most people have. So there's an unusual quality to them already. But the way he sometimes can bug them out or just look just a little slightly touched in the head, it adds another layer that's subliminal. You don't even pick up on it unless you're actually looking for it. But it's the physicality of the character that he's playing, just in the eyes. It doesn't have, and it can change too, depending on the mood of the character. Because, like you said, you're talking about Lon Suitor. As Suitor's character changes personality wise and stuff, Dourif does some different things with his face. And you see that here with Brother Edward, because as he's starting to, I'm starting to have these hallucinations, these visions, this stuff is happening to me. You can see the control kind of break a little bit on his facial expressions.
Yeah.
He's not as calm, and Dourif is really good at the physicality and the facial expressions more than a lot of other actors that I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the first time I think the first time I noticed him was, that Voyager episode 20 years ago, whatever. But, looking like he was very convincing.
Longer ago than 20 years.
Was it more than 20?
Yes.
Whatever, yeah. I mean, he was very creepy in that episode, and we did
the
great
contacts.
job.
He had like almost black eyes.
Yeah, and it's obvious that, with his other stuff that he's done, I mean, great actor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it just I kind of feel sorry that he's sort of got stuck in. Hey, you're gonna play the psycho.
He got typecast as a serial killer.
Well,
yeah.
but he did.
He's
he
good
got
at
to play.
It, I mean, he's great at it.
He barely played the serial killer in this, though, right? I mean, he did
True.
a little bit in the flashbacks and everything, but he was basically playing a tortured good guy.
I'd say only when he had his little beard on was he playing the serial killer, and even that.
And honestly, we don't even know that those memories may have been planted, by the Centauri. So
you're
Well,
saying
no,
of him as
he did allude that things can be brought back up through somebody who's well trained in the synapses of the human mind. So
PB saying, did he play the Mentat in the House Harkonnen Dune 1984? Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
That's in fact one of the my favorite lines in that is when he's going over the plan or whatever, and he says something like "my plan," and Baron Harkonnen like screams "my plan," and he says "the plan." It's just a great delivery on that.
And probably his Cuckoo's Nest was probably his most. One of the most.
He's got very expressive eyes.
Yeah,
even more recent photos of him, you can see he's got that. So,
all right. So we've gushed over this gentleman, rightfully or deservedly, right?
No, yeah, he I mean, there was something off about him, and whatever Brad did was great. Because I got this uneasy feeling about him. You know what I mean? Just seeing him. And I didn't place him as being from, any of the previous stuff that he had been in. So, I just was like, there's something off with this guy.
Sure. Well, why don't we go to the top, since we only have the two main storylines here, and kind of just go through that, and anybody can make points. Let me start with the them playing chess, which they've made a point in the show that Sheridan is really this out of the box kind of thinker. He turns these situations and everything. Yet we see him with Brother Theo getting the better of him in this chess game, and I mean Sheridan's kind of shocked by that, right? And of course, Brother Edwards is introduced at this point, as Brother Edward is introduced as well.
Yeah.
What does everybody think about that scene? Any particular comments? Let's go with.
Did he use the King's level 3 move?
Not that I recall.
Jason gets it.
Is it
Queen to King's level 1?
There you go. Okay. That's our obligatory mention for the. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, Madman, why don't you start with what you thought about that, if anything?
Well, the chess part of the situation, it's kind of like really unusual, because you see Sheridan, he's sit back, he's laid back, and he's like, yeah, I got you. You're not gonna beat me. I know every move you made, and Brother Theo is just sitting there, just thinking, and then just did the move, and it's like saying, I did it. He's just casual. He's casual the whole situation, and I love the actor who plays Brother Theo.
Oh yeah.
I mean, through this whole thing, there is a couple more episodes with Brother Theo in it, and he is great. He plays it so well, to the point, that he throws in an insult but makes it sound really good.
Yeah. A little bit of a little barb in there.
Yeah, a little barb, and he just throws it in really nicely. And I mean, there's going to be more of that soon, but still, oh my God, it just adds a point. But overall, you have two players that basically are trying to match wits, and one of them, of course, hey, listen, this is the guy who destroyed the Black Star, the man the only man to ever defeat the Minbari cruiser. So you gotta say, hey, he's got to have some knowledge, some combat knowledge, to the point playing chess.
Yeah, maybe he's a little out of practice. Jason, what do you got to say about this?
Well, I think it's a clear example of somebody who is using 2-dimensional thinking instead of 3.
So not Kirk-like?
Not Kirk-like.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't playing. They weren't playing like 3D chess.
I know.
So,
but it does give you a good beginning dynamic between Sheridan and Theo that pays off at the end when you have the reveal of we have the twist reveal at the end where Theo's like, okay, we've established some precedent here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna hold you to your standard.
Yeah.
And I think without the chess scene, I don't think you earn that scene, that reveal scene at the end as much.
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a connective tissue there between the two that says, hey, strategy and all of that, whatnot, fine, but in the end, we have to be willing to forgive and move on and do something different. So,
but we've been deprived of such type of connectivities before, an unearned end or something like that. So it was, I guess, I didn't think about it at the time, but it definitely bridged that, that beginning and end to the whole story, if you will.
Yeah, interesting interaction with the dynamic that they were presenting with those two characters. Jeff, did you have any other things you wanted? Any other points you wanted?
I found it humorous that he quoted Minbari, faith manages, and then says check, and I do believe that's mate, something to that effect.
Right. Yep.
So that scene was great. Yeah.
Yep. Snob.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoyed this episode. I didn't see the connective tissue as much as you guys did, I guess. I mean, sometimes just because you're a military genius doesn't necessarily mean you're good at chess.
Let me clarify what I mean by that, because it's not necessarily connective tissue from a plot standpoint as it is a relationship between the characters.
Yeah, it's
because this sets up a connection between Theo and Sheridan that allows Theo to call Sheridan out at the end.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think, I guess I'll mention this now. I really like that final scene, and it seems to me that Brother Theo is, he's kind of setting himself up as almost a father figure, or at least older brother figure, or he's
wise,
the wise teacher, mentor. He's got something to teach Sheridan, obviously, and we see that at the very end of the episode. And I thought that was very powerful at the very end. And I made the assumption that I haven't seen any other episodes beyond this, but I'm assuming that Sheridan's gonna have to face up to the whole idea of vengeance and versus justice versus forgiveness at some point in the future. I'm hoping. If not, I'll be disappointed.
But that's what I was meaning with the chess part. That basically, he's a military man. He's played chess, but Brother Theo beat him on that. Which basically significance is that basically there's a lot more to learn.
Yeah,
even though you've been successful in some of your battles, there's still a lot more to learn.
Yeah,
if you're going to go forward, especially if you're coming with this war with the shadows.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a great lesson. And obviously, it also sets up Brother Theo in the future to teach him other lessons. To say, hey, I know stuff that you don't.
Yeah,
obviously, right. I beat you at this. I showed you something about forgiveness at the end. So I'm assuming that Brother Theo is going to have a bigger impact later on at some point later in the season, where what he set up is going to come to Sheridan and say, hey, and maybe Sheridan's going to change what he's going to what he was planning on doing, maybe change it into a more humane or towards more justice or forgiveness or something. But yeah, it remains to be seen.
Yeah. Okay, can I suggest that we go off and talk? Because at this point, in chronologically, Ivanova gets called away because Kasha's ship is arriving,
returning.
and so I'd like to talk about the beginning part of Lita's return, her medical exam, her encounter with Londo, and get everyone's thoughts on that. So let's go. Let's start with Jeff on this one. What do you think? Lita's return. She said she would return, and she did.
She did return. Let's see. Let me skip down here because that's not in chronological. I thought it was interesting. Of course, you could see that Ivanova is still impressed by his ship. I guess every time she sees it, and kind of almost startled when Kosh walks up behind her.
He is lurking back there.
Yeah. He just kind of comes. He just kind of waddles out from the shadows, and which is the irony, right? He says, formality, ritual, you should be involved, and then returning, and then next thing you know, that's when we see the portal on the side of the ship open, and out walks Lita.
Yep. And so then they have a debriefing, right?
Yeah, right. So that's when basically they go ahead and they send her to the checkup with the doctor, and well, of course, we already kind of touched on that.
Do
you want to go into some detail?
Yeah,
about
if you got any comments on it, or if not, we can go around.
So the doc is with Lita. And he points out, she's in better health, best shape she's been in for 5 years at least. He mentions a couple of ailments, minor ailments that she had an iron deficiency gone. I think she had an enlarged
appendix, right?
Appendix or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was back to normal. He did notice one unusual thing aside from that, that he wasn't quite sure how to explain. And of course, all these are in consideration of the fact that she tells the story of how she went, paid a merchant to take her so far out, and they sat there beaming communication into the Vorlon sector for 5 days, I think it was, or 7 days, and finally he was ready to give up, so he paid her the rest of the money she had to leave her basically in a a life pod, whatever, with 5 days of food, water, and air, and continued to do that. So eventually she was getting oxygen deprivated and all that, and surprise suddenly she's discovered by that. Now, when the doc is looking at her, she's got oxygen rich blood. She actually has above normal oxygenation. So, and I think that's an interesting clue for something that might happen later on in the episode.
Madman Madman.
Well,
any
thing with this episode with Lita, her return, several things you want to notice to this point. When she was having her examination, and you say the deficiencies and all that, and then the ending part, you notice something that was on her at the end.
Oh yeah. Well, I was leaving that till later.
Yeah, the gills that are.
I was
on her.
saving that till later.
Well, I'm sorry, but here's the thing: Dr. Franklin would have noticed them.
Maybe.
Well,
he would not there. They're there in the when
what that's the thing. But he was doing a deep examination of her.
Yeah.
Now, did she block him from seeing them, or did he just brush it aside? To that point, we don't know as far as that.
I think he would have said something if he noticed.
If he had noticed it, yeah.
Well, and if she was mentally blocking him from seeing it, that would have been written into a scene somewhere.
Wouldn't have other people have seen it? She can't just mass.
Well, she was wearing
Make everybody-
high collars a lot. Did you notice?
Yeah.
I didn't really notice. But
Not there.
Yeah, she's
but
wearing a high
later on
collar
she
now.
was.
Something she wasn't wearing before. She's wearing a high collar that's hiding some of those gills.
So
do you think that developed within the episode?
I mean, it could have
the way it
happened.
looks. The way it looks, because he said you seem to be fine. You have, all these situations. You have the deficient. You used to have the iron deficiency, but now you're all well and all that. But you have a high. And the thing is, the hint is what Franklin said. You have a heightened more oxygenation in your system. Then, meanwhile, at the end of the episode, what is she not wearing that she's in Kosh's
Yeah, she's
room?
not wearing a mask.
Yeah.
She's not wearing a mask.
In an environment that's not.
Exactly. An environment that is not made.
Kosh has his headpiece off, right? So
and Kosh has his headpiece off. But the thing about it is, the level that's in his room is not safe for human breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. Yeah.
All right, we're jumping to the end. Also, we're doing the full Lita arc now. Okay, so
you started with the Lita. You said Lita, so I assume you want to go.
Well,
but no, getting to the other part of the situation, which is two parts on there. When she met Londo to that point, and what the threat that she made, this is something we've heard before. I think it was from Talia a couple episodes back, where they said there's a man somewhere in a cell that's just virtually screaming because something that was implanted in his mind. If you remember that.
Vaguely.
It's like way back. I forgot what episode it was. It was mentioned back that they're, because they're talking about, going into deep mind scans and stuff like that. And that basically, I think it was something that it had to deal with Bester, I believe. I think it was the Bester episode, that there's a man screaming in some cell somewhere onto there. And that's sort of what Lita was, trying to push onto Londo. They said, yeah, we could do that to that situation. And now here's the other hint to this episode. When Lita went after the Centauri on there, that basically, she grabbed it on there. She's a P5 to the situation. Now, we don't know what the Centauri was, but she got that pretty quick for a P5, leading to the point that she's no longer a P5.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody catch that?
Well, clearly that the other Centauri, although he doesn't have P rating necessarily, we knew that he was fairly powerful because he commented on that, right?
Right.
The difficulty in getting through the death of personality manipulation. So yeah, we can surmise that Lita has fairly strong abilities at this point.
Right.
Yeah, I assume that right from the bat when she's been to the Vorlons, she's in better health. They probably did something else to her or helped her somehow learn. I mean, yeah. Yeah.
Jason, do you have any other comments on the Lita storyline since we've opened it up fully?
Clearly.
No, not really. I mean, it's aside from the physiological changes that haven't been explained yet, it's a pretty straightforward plot for her. Mm-hmm. She shows up and now you have the mystery of how she was able to, because how many humans have been to Kasha's home planet?
Well, we know of one. We know of one.
So
two. We know of two.
So you're setting up some questions for her, but overall, for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward arc.
The Inquisitor.
Okay.
Forget about
the Inquisitor. The Inquisitor was the one I was thinking of.
Well,
one of us put in cold storage. Brought out.
I mean, were you? Was anybody not? I mean, I'm jumping to the end. Was anybody else, disturbed by that final scene? I thought that was a little disturbing. What was going on there?
Yeah, what was
it was very reminiscent of what happened with Sheridan when he went out into space. Mm-hmm. Remember when he had the entity that he picked up from?
It
was kind of the same kind of thing.
Yeah, that was kind of exiting him. This one, it did have like
change.
An air of like, is he feeding off of her or is she feeding off of him?
Yeah, but
the symbiotic thing.
No, feeding off of her because the light was obviously moving from her to him.
Right.
Like, okay. Did you see her makeup though? It was very in the scene before that, when she was talking to Ivanova, I think, and her makeup was like ready for that later scene. You know what I'm saying? It was like very heavy and kind of, she looked kind of pallid. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah.
I didn't really know, but
okay, because in the in that scene where then we see the gills and everything, and she's there, kind of zoned out or whatever it is, she looks a little strange. I think they did her makeup up to look strange.
Let me point out that scene happens a few weeks after Brother Edward.
Yes.
So because she actually is returning again a second time from a trip.
Yeah.
So she shows up at the beginning of the episode. She's throughout the episode, and then apparently at some point she leaves. We never see her leave.
Well, that's true. She did say that she was going to be coming and going a lot.
Yeah, and then she comes back, and Ivanova's meeting up, and of course Ivanova's talking about, making sure that the docking bay is empty. That's not a problem. Covering up the logs, it's a little tougher, but she's doing it right. And so it could be at whatever point she may not have had those gills at that point. She may have gotten them on this second trip.
That's a good point.
Well,
and because the doctor would have already checked her out at this point, so now there's nothing unusual.
The main thing about this to me was that, I mean, it kind of put the Vorlons in a different perspective to me. Like, I'm thinking that they're the good guys up to now, and now I'm like, are they just sending her off to collect information and then Kosh is sucking that information or life energy or something from her? Like, is she being, physically, abused in a sense here, where she's, giving up her life essence, or I mean, I don't know, something. Like, it just seems very strange what he's doing to her. I mean, she's not going and collecting information and giving a report back saying, yeah, there was 3 guys here and I saw 10 people and whatever.
Now, as a writer, as a writer, what I'm seeing is that whatever they did to her so that she could survive in their environment might need regular maintenance, and that's what we're seeing at the end of the episode.
Oh, is that what you think?
Maybe.
It seemed like it was going from her to Kosh. So if it looked to the opposite, I would have come to that conclusion. But it looks like Kosh is sucking something out of her. But
I also think that she was changed originally when she went the first time, because the Volon homeworld has the same oxygen level, their atmosphere level.
How do we know that? I don't know that.
Well, why is he breathing that in that room? In his room,
he can appear in any
that's the encounter suit.
Different
you have
form.
To remember, he's wearing an encounter suit.
He's wearing an encounter suit, but we
don't know that he needs to breathe at all.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're right about that. But the thing about it is, you have to put to the point, what is the atmosphere of the planet? We don't know.
We don't know.
Well, and also consider too, the encounter suit serves the purpose of allowing people to interact with him.
Right.
Because if you see his actual form, because I think that's what they established all the way back in the pilot, is the psychological and physiological effect that it would have on a person to actually see them in their natural state. It's kind of like looking at a Medusan or in Star Trek. It'll drive you nuts.
Well,
He may not need that encounter suit to survive. He may need that encounter suit to keep everybody else from losing their minds.
Well, this has been explained. It's that it's to prevent people from recognizing him, but then that's what he said at one point. But then we learned when he was seen by everybody that it was draining on him, because the way that works is that it's draining his psychic energy to maintain those projections. Is the way that it's been presented, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because after that incident, he was recovering. Remember, because it does take it out of him.
It took a couple of days for him to recover.
Yeah. Snob, did you have anything else to say about Lita?
No, just that it was that I found that last scene a little bit disturbing, and it made me sort of question. Are the Volons really the good guys? What is he up to? I want to know more, but it affected like it kind of changed the show a little bit for me in that sense. I'm going to be a little more, as I watch further on, I'm going to be a little more twig to the fact that, hey, these Vorlons are, they've always been a little suspicious, but this seems even more suspicious.
Well, the Vorlons do what the Vorlons want to do, it appears,
that's
right?
True.
I would comment that, the times we've seen Lita interacting with Kosh, the two recent times at least, is she seemed, as it's been presented, she seems like she was willing. She wanted to do these things. There was no indication she was compelled to do any of it. And like the first time, she's like, oh, she was very eager to see him again. Now is that some sort of addictive thing or conditioning? I don't know. But I wanted to talk about her encounter with Londo a little bit because Londo.
That was good.
Yeah, before you do, let me just, James and Mac Thompson in the thing just said Lita was a type of encounter suit and an avatar. James said, and that's kind of what, like, Lita's behavior in this episode is kind of different. She's very angry a little bit. She seems a little different. We didn't see her that much before, but maybe this isn't a possibility. This kind of came to me that when the white stuff was leaving Lita and going into Kosh, maybe that's Kosh's spirit. He's actually using her as an encounter suit. He's going off and doing stuff with her.
Part of him, at least.
Now, a part of him, and now he's going back into his regular suit when they were moving, because that's what it looked like. Something was moving from her to him, and I can't. So, these guys mentioning James and Mac Thompson mentioning it. That kind of makes sense to me, but I guess I'll have to wait and find out.
Okay.
The one issue that I have with that is that in the pilot episode, we had Lita on the station acting normal prior to introducing Kosh, prior to his arrival on the station. So if she is basically an avatar for Kosh, she has been the entire time, and then and whatever reveal that's going to be retcons a few things, and I'm not sure that they're going to do that.
You don't think that? No, I think that she could have become an avatar afterwards, like he could inhabit her now that he's been to the Vorlon homeworld. I didn't necessarily
maybe
what maybe she just is become it now.
What allows
back then, right?
Allowing Kosh to
he's piggybacking.
Allows him to kind of sneak around under a disguise.
Yeah, that could be
what we're thinking.
Because didn't you guys find that she was a little bit angry during the maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe Cam was going towards talk about that, or like
let's talk about that interaction. So they run into each other, and Londo grabs her, which was kind of aggressive. Londo's not necessarily physical like that with just people in that he runs into, but he started. He was kind of glad handing her a bit, but then he went really. Snob, you mentioned at some point that his he has gotten more aggressive in some ways and such, and he got aggressive with her very quickly. Like he didn't get what he wanted immediately, and then he kind of moved right into threats, which is I was a little surprised by that because Londo is usually a little more subtle.
You think it was his shadow company?
I don't know, but it maybe it's because it was a brief interaction, and he thought she was going to get away, and he just went for it.
Well, you got to remember, there has been, other than the Inquisitor, there's been no one who has visited the Volon homeworld. No one who has gone to the Volon space has returned.
Yeah,
for her to come back and that we know of.
Yeah,
she's gone there, come back. We know she's come back. There's going to be a lot of other ambassadors coming after her to say, "Hey, listen, we'll pay you. We'll pay." Remember, Jakar and Talia says, we can pay, for your DNA, and he said the same thing to Lita. They will pay for your DNA for your your for your psychic powers and stuff like that. For telepathic. Onto that point, she's gonna get that constantly all the time with her because they said they know that she went to the Volon homeworld and she's seen what's there.
Yeah, and so he threatens her with, basically like, oh, too bad, it'd be real shame if the Psychor, knew you were here. And then that's when she goes back and threatens him. So it's someone had mentioned,
maybe it's the righteous anger.
Yeah,
because at that point
obviously
she may have had cautious essence in him. That's an interesting. I didn't even think that could be his essence, but you know what? We have seen that before, so
I didn't take it that way that Kosh had anything to do with that. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I just took it as her being like, hey, this guy accosts me and is threatening me with, basically turning me over to the Psycho, and she knows what that means. And was like, screw you, I'm not, I don't have to follow those rules. You want to mess with me, then let's go.
Well, early on, was it Sheridan that said, can't really protect you from the Psychor because they might come after you. And she said, Kosh will protect me.
She said he will protect me.
Yeah.
Didn't say who.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments on Londo and her interaction?
Well, and I wonder if his getting physical is an outgrowth of his. We've talked about this before. The fact that he's lost every friendship, every connection that he's had because of the war, because of his part in it. Everybody, all of the relationships that he's had on the station have fallen away, and I wonder if he's reaching out and grabbing her because now he's desperate for a connection. He's like,
sure
hey, here's
driven everybody away.
Yeah. You haven't abandoned me yet.
Mm-hmm.
Something fundamental there, and when she spurns him, you can see it on his face, like, oh, here's another one.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, I would agree, Jason. I think that there's an aspect of like I think it would make sense for Londo to become more aggressive as he loses friends. He's no longer able to, cajole or
he's not able to play the nice guy.
He can't. Yeah, he doesn't. He's he's on the outs. Everyone knows what kind of guy he is. They don't want to have anything to do with him. So he's bound to become more aggressive. Because that's all he has is fear and force, threats.
Anger leads to hate.
Let me ask a quick question. Did anyone, when he was waiting for the elevator, did anyone go like, "Oh no, not this again"? thinking Jakar's gonna be there. I did for a minute, but okay. Do you guys want to move on to the Brother Edward storyline? Yeah. No?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I'll just kind of start us off, and we can go through it. The whole thing, freeform. We'll just go around. But he starts out where after the initial scene, we see him where he's going to give. He's working on this little sculpture or something that he's going to give to Sheridan as a gift. He's meeting with someone that's working out a contract for his order. Basically some data analysis and copying and things like that. And he has this, nice interaction with the lady, the client. And then that's where the Black Rose shows up. It falls out of his bag. Let's start with Snob. We rarely do that. Let's start with you and see what you want to say about it. I know you don't like to think.
Yeah. I just like everyone else to say stuff, and then I can say, "Oh, you're wrong," and not anything else. Yeah, I mean, what aspect of it are you trying to just in general?
Well, this
is a good start.
Yeah, I could go through the other highlights again if you want, but this is right after that is where we see his first, the Black Rose. It's where he's the first thing, and it doesn't register with him, right?
Yeah, it's the first hint,
right? And then
that's something, and we later learn that someone must have just planted that on him.
Right.
There's we understand it by the end of the show that there's the psychological aspect, the psychop, that aspect of it, but there's also a physical aspect that they're doing as well. So,
and it's an important point because we see that a third party sees the Black Rose. So later on, when he's getting these visions, which apparently disappear, the writing on the walls and everything. Yeah. And it's like, is he hallucinating this or whatever? We've already seen the first hint that there is something physical there.
Yeah.
So, sorry, go ahead.
I was questioning during most of the episode whether some of this was physical, like, I mean, the rose was obviously physical, but some of these aspects, if they were physical or all mental, like I assumed he was having visions on my first viewing, like the writing on the walls was all visions or some sort of memory or something like that, right? But what we find out later, it wasn't. I think I mean, this is a good this first scene is a good little step. It starts, the planning of the rose starts, we go, whoa, what the heck's that about? And also we learn a little bit about when he mentions that he's they're doing this for learning about their alien ideas of God. Now I think we had that by Brother Theo in an earlier episode.
Yeah, when he first appeared.
Yeah, but it further reinforces that idea, and I think it fits with his later discussion with Delin when he goes to see her, which doesn't really, like, that little piece. I mean, it gives important information about his his defining moment of his religion, but other than that, the other stuff that goes on is kind of not really important to the episode. I mean, it's interesting for us to find out about the way that the Minbari see religion and that kind of thing. But yeah.
Okay. Do we want to talk about someone want to talk about the interview with Delin? Let's see. Anybody want to take that?
I'll take it.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting, you see, because you hear this from the first, when Brother Theo and his group come to Babylon 5, that they're there to reach out to all the other worlds, and this is the best place to do it, to learn and also to teach to the situation, but mostly to learn from the other races about their religions, what they believe in, what their lives go through on a daily basis. And the interesting, the point is, the explanation. Delin goes, says, well, we don't believe really in the God. We believe in, that what was it? The flash, the light on the wall,
beam of light. Yeah.
The beam of light, that there's a beam of light on the wall. And that's, where's that come from? It comes from somewhere. It starts. And then that's what, we believe that it starts somewhere and it goes to somewhere. And, you have that in between. And it's, it's interesting. And you see that Brother I can't even think of his name. He's
Brother
interested. Brother Edward. Thank you.
Yeah.
That he's really into learning to the situation. He's just vigorous, asking every question to the situation. But I love the ending to this, and it is great. It's like they start to talk about their great leader.
Yes.
At the end,
yes, they tease us.
That this is a tease. This is a tease.
Yeah.
And to the point, because basically, Delin interrupts the conversation and just like, we must go now. To that point.
Maybe that information isn't for the public quite yet.
Because he gets to the point, it says it's a Voland, not I'm assuming not Voland. A Minbari not born of Minbari. I was like, wait a minute, whoa.
Yeah.
That really stuck with me. He's a Minbari who came out of we don't know where, or
1,000 years ago.
Yeah, he just showed up. Like, what the
Valen is not a Minbari. That's not of Minbari. What do they mean by that?
Yeah, I was like really intrigued. I'm like, they just stuck that in and just like tweaked me there. I'm like, hey,
they threw it in and then they shut it down immediately.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm starting to think Valen was, someone else, like a Vorlon or some other one, an old race or something like that. Like, it seems to me. But anyway, yeah, I was like, oh.
And two people on this panel know, don't they?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Okay. On Earth, he's called Cthulhu.
The old ones.
Jason, what do you think about Delin kind of asks, she explains their view on things, which she explains that they don't believe in an explicit God or gods, but basically that the universe is that consciousness. So it's kind of this, more universal belief. But she asks him a little bit about, his religion, which is Christian, essentially. I don't think he doesn't say that specifically, but he references Jesus.
He's our Lord. He's telling the story of Gethsemane. So
right, and he she asks his favorite. The actual question is, what is his favorite thing? And he talks about, that Jesus knew what was going to happen to him and could have chosen to not do it, right? And that
He didn't have to
did.
be there, is what he
Right,
basically
right.
says.
He could have avoided his fate.
The thing that strikes me about that scene is not necessarily how it impacts the plot, but I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and from a theological standpoint, a doctrinal standpoint, he's pretty spot on. And I'm thinking to myself, hang on, Straczynski's an atheist, and for him to be writing this scene is pretty impressive because he's not far off of what we know was in the biblical text. That's very insightful of him to get, and I know he's writing a religious character, he's writing a believer, but the fact that he's got integrity enough as a writer to do it respectfully and not turn all of these guys, Brother Theo, Brother Edward, all of them into caricatures.
Right.
That struck me more than anything else.
I wanted to talk about this
back in season 1, when they were doing that celebration of what their beliefs are.
Yeah.
And what the captain brought out at that time period, he brought every religion from Earth, and he was introducing each and every one of those religions to all the other ambassadors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that's different than having a character actually espouse a belief.
Yeah.
Well, and for because Straczynski's writing all of this season, for him to get it that correct.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you on that.
And he didn't make it try to sound like it was nonsense. He didn't try to knock it as a religion.
Yeah, but back in that other episode too, he didn't throw it around. He just through the names of all these religions that are on Earth, Catholicism, Judaism, and you were hearing some names, you're like, wait a minute, we got this, we got that, and it's like, wow, and if you were a Minbari, or if you were, from Centaurian, it's like, look at all the religions that are on planet Earth, Now, fast forward to this, where he wrote into this episode where they focused on it, but remember, at this point, Catholicism has split apart into several different directions in the Babylon 5 fandom, to the point that basically they don't go deep into each one of them, but in certain episodes you hear one or the other that just basically, oh, we believe in this, and it sounds more to Catholicism, but it isn't on there, like what Dr. Franklin's beliefs also.
Yeah, he's a universalist, I think, isn't he?
Yeah.
Snob, what did you want to say?
No, I agree with Jason. Like, that was the biggest thing that struck me about this episode, was the deep dive into religion and this philosophical aspect to it. And again, just like Jason said, the fact that I know that Straczynski is an atheist, yet he did such a great job with discuss, and especially with the aspect of when Brother Edward is dying, and the discussion about forgiveness, and where he's absolving him of his sins, the talk about the garden, and weaving this whole thing in where Brother Edward has this fear but is able to face that fear, and feels some sort of sense of success or accomplishment because of facing that. And then at the end with Sheridan as well, with the forgiveness with Brother Malcolm. I mean, I was just amazed that an atheist put all this together and did what I thought was a great job of looking at these aspects of it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think that, again, Madman, you mentioned the first episode and everything, and some of the other characters, and even the Minbari things, which aren't Earth religion and everything, is that as an atheist, it seems as if he's interested in religion. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it's from an academic standpoint, or just likes it in terms of storytelling, whatever. But he does. You're right, and Jason said it. Well, all you guys have said, it's basically he feels no need to caricature it or whatever. He and in this case, Snob, as you said, he's using it in here to be, the story that he conveys directly then comes up to relate to his Edward's own what's going on, because it's like he says in this, it's like, I don't know if I would have the strength to go forward with that, knowing what it was going to be. Right. And obviously few people would.
And he had his own Gethsemane, so to speak.
Yeah,
right.
for sure.
And
you notice the character, like you notice Brother Edward when he was lying there. Like, did you see his face? They put the effort into making it's obvious that he had been severely beaten, his jaw and all the bones of his face broken. Like, he didn't look like himself. Like,
they obviously stuck some cotton balls in his mouth.
They took the effort to make it look like he had been worked over, and
he did.
I thought
they did a good job
by what they did to him. Like, it must have been pretty, pretty brutal, pretty horrific torture.
Did the whole line? If I could throw this at you, and I love the interaction at the end to this point. I'm going to read this out, and and this is the one that grabbed me on this episode. Brother Theo, I'm afraid that there's enough forgiveness for what I've done. Always, Edward, take my hand. Through the mysteries of our redemption, may Almighty God release you from all the punishments in this life and in the life to come. May He open up to you the gates of paradise and welcome you to everlasting joy. Father, look upon a compassion on your servant, Edward, who has trusted in your promises. Welcome him into your kingdom in peace. By the authority which the apostolic scene has given me, I grant you a full pardon and remission of all your sins in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Yeah, it's a fairly deep amount of lines there that goes into the contrition and absolution.
It's a last rites in a way, isn't it?
There's also that. Yeah.
It also speaks to this notion in Christianity of redemption, even for the worst of us.
Right.
Because there have been people in I want to say Jeffrey Dahmer converted to Christianity when he was in prison. So you've got these people every day. Well, Bonnie Blue, the porn actress, recently there's been stories about she's recently converted to Christianity. There are a number of porn actresses who are out there converted to Christianity and said, "Oh, this is a terrible thing that I did," and now they're trying to make up for it. We hear these stories all the time, and this thing plays out like this guy was a cold-blooded killer, and yes, his memory was wiped. He became this new person, but symbolically, thematically, baptism for Christians, baptism is death of the old life and birth of a new life in Christ. Right. And so you could make the argument, it might be a stretch, but you could make the argument that his mind wipe essentially is the baptism, it takes the place of the baptism. You have the new person who is go and sin no more type. And what does that mean for his old life? Does he still need to be forgiven for stuff that he's done that he doesn't even remember doing?
Well, that's an excellent point, and I didn't think about it, about the parallel with that the personality being analogous to baptism,
rebirth. Yeah,
right. But he makes the point though that he's upset about this, and it's speaking to the cruelty of the death of personality, and they mention that in a few other ways too. But that it's like he is concerned because it's like they've robbed me of my ability to even be contrite about this. It's like, how can I seek forgiveness for something that I'm not even aware of?
I had a problem. I mean, that was the only weakness I saw in this, is because I think Brother Theo says later on that, God knows what you've did, and you can, if you want to ask for, you don't have to remember all your sins in order to, seek forgiveness of them. So I thought that was a little bit, it was still good. It wasn't, horrible. I thought that was the only weakness, because when he said that, I mean, he made a good point. Brother Edward makes a good point when he says that. But God knows what you've done, so He can still forgive you. But,
well, I mean, I think he used the term "stain on my soul."
Well, and that's not a weak position to take, because it is, that is one of those things that we teach in the church is God does know everything that you do. He does know everything that you think, everything that you feel, everything you believe. And you don't have the ability to hide anything from him. But at the same time, you sit there and go, well, okay, well, if I go through every single thing that I've ever done, I'm never getting in. But that's where grace and redemption and forgiveness come from. Is you're already there's no way that you're going to get into heaven all on your own. You have to have the forgiveness of God in order to do that. And like Max says, the part that really we haven't addressed is not just contrition and feeling bad for what you've done. You also have to repent. You have to make a conscious choice that you're not going to live your life that way anymore. When Christ met the woman at the well, or not the woman at the well, the prostitute, they were going to stone her, and he says, whoever he who's without sin cast the first stone, and they all walk away. And he's like, well, where did everybody go? And she's like, well, they all left. And he said, that whole go and forgive, go and sin no more. He's leaving it up to her to make the choice, the conscious choice to exert some self-control into how she behaves. And that's the part that comes after forgiveness. You have to repent in order to be forgiven. And part of that repentance involves change in behavior. And so, he does. He's like, how can I be contrite? How can I try to get forgiven over something that now has been taken away from me?
Yeah, it's a lot of philosophical points in there, and I think you explained it pretty well there. And
I used to teach,
sure, but the thing that I, and Snob, I think you were referring to this is, and while I think this is perfectly natural and something that many people experience, he's a monk. Edward is a monk, and he's expressing doubts that his sins can be forgiven. That's one of the hardest things to get over, is that your sin isn't greater than God's forgiveness, right? And even though I understand why they would want to make that point, and because they're showing him the level of guilt that he has, but I'm not sure that someone trained in theology would not understand that. But again, there's a difference between understanding something intellectually and feeling it.
Yeah, and he may have, JMS may have consulted some people on this as well.
Maybe.
I certainly would not.
It's still not bad for an atheist.
I thought overall it was very good.
Oh, it was excellent.
Excellent.
Yeah, the biggest thing that it made me think about is the whole death of personality versus the actual death penalty. Which one is more cruel?
Right, and they were making that point, I think, a lot.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to mention about that, Jeff, is that this is the biggest weakness, I think, in the episode. Now, with that said, I mean, he's focused so much on the religious and the forgiveness aspects. I mean, you don't have enough time to go through all these things, but I think there's a huge, you could do a whole show on the morality of the death of personality thing. Like, I've been punished, I've committed this crime, and now I'm being punished afterwards. I've got to go and serve these people, but I don't even remember these crimes that I committed. I'm not even the same person that committed these crimes. Should I really be punished for what I didn't do, because that's not me anymore?
Well, that brings up an interesting question too, doesn't it, about the practical aspect? It's like, wouldn't you ask, well, why am I being forced into servitude? It's like, do they know that? I mean, obviously, these guys didn't know it. The impression
get is they get fake memories or something like that. Seemed to be suggested, but I'm saying that I just wanted to mention. I don't know if we have enough time to talk about
that,
but that's an aspect of this whole mind wipe thing, which you could spend an entire show at least discussing the philosophical and ethical aspects of mind wiping.
You're also depriving the victims and their families of closure.
Well, they did say that they, they basically.
I mean, that's why they were riled up.
Well, right. Okay. Well, let's get to that part. I know we're running out of time here, but I did want to mention. I don't know if anybody noticed that when Brother Edward was waiting there, he was there praying on his knees when his accusers came for him.
And there's a religious, there's a cross on the back behind on him, so it's like a makeshift church or something. There's a fairly large cross behind there.
And of course, this is the point where, he said, "I knew you were coming." Again, that's where it goes back to his original thing, talking about Jesus in the garden. That he chose to be there. He also could have run, and he didn't. And so obviously that's some development for him. He was answering his own question about himself. But okay, so then we've got this. These are the family members of the victims that have tracked him down for some years. I think it was 8 years ago that
so he's been in service for 8 years with Brother Theo in that order. I forget, but I've got it written down somewhere what the name of the order is. But at any rate, the actual murder happened 9 years ago, and I guess there was a fire or something at the facility, and he
where he was actually assigned.
Well, it's not completely clear, but maybe he just got out. Maybe he was assigned there. It's not.
There was nothing left of the facility. The facility burnt down, so they assume he died. And then what is he walked into a monastery?
But again, what happened to his memories though? At that point, did he not remember his? Or was it like right when he got mind wiped?
He had already been mind wiped.
He already been the personality has already been changed.
Right, but I'm saying he couldn't have been in whatever placement he was, because he'd be like, oh well, I got to go back there. It's like, what I'm saying, it must have been right when it happened.
No, the facility was to change him. And
it was right.
Then he's sent somewhere else. He doesn't stay in that facility.
Okay.
That's not where he's supposed to stay.
Okay. So then, basically, the I forget the guy's name, the one that ended up being Malcolm, but basically, he said that the other family members basically decided not to go through with it, but he would, and then that's when we see, we don't see what happens to him, but obviously he gets beat and then strung up, not actually crucified, semi-crucified like, I guess, but he wasn't, he was just kind of hung there. And then, that's when Lita came in and got the information from the Centauri. And then we end up here, where they, cut him down and everything. And then he has his death scene and those things you mentioned with the absolution and all that. Again, I know we're out of time. Quick notes there. Garibaldi was involved in this, where he was doing the investigating and such, and he was clearly skeptical about it, kind of like. But then Garibaldi dug deeper, because that's what he does, and found that there wasn't residue from blood with the these things being written on the walls, but there was chemicals that was basically disappearing ink, and also that. In reference to what was real and was hallucination, is someone had tapped into the PA system in the area and were giving him these, what he took to be, hearing voices in his head or whatever, as they were trying to kind of torture him.
Am I back?
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, I thought that was a good, interesting cam. The way that they mix some of the the psychological and the psych ward type telepath stuff with some real stuff in there. I like that aspect of it.
Right.
Well, and with Brad Dourif playing the character, when he started having the hallucinations, what we thought were hallucinations, I thought, oh, okay, he's going to go off the deep end. Of course, it's Dourif.
Yeah.
So, that's a little bit of a misdirect, really, with the casting. Even,
yeah,
is that you're gonna take this guy who normally plays these off balance, disturbed individuals, but he's already been given a redemption arc of sorts with the mind wipe. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, Dave mentions in the chat here about Nimoy's directing. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, that was great. I mean, I agree with Jason on that point too. I was like thinking, oh, this is all in his mind, but I'm finding out later that it's not all in his mind, and that that was very effective. And with
Garibaldi
what Dave says here,
out.
the dream to reality state from the hallway, I was basically seamless. No, not Leonard Nimoy.
Adam Nimoy, his son.
Adam Nimoy, his son.
Yep.
What did you guys think about when, after his first, just kind of trying to wrap all these ends up, is after he had this first vision or whatever, and he was, or was it the second one, where he was very disturbed. He was like in his room and he missed the prayers and everything, and Brother Theo came to see him. What did you guys think about that whole thing? That, he couldn't seem to deal with it, and that's when Brother Theo was kind of like, well, maybe you shouldn't deal with it, which I found a little strange. And then it's because it seemed to me as if he was like, oh, he knew about this, it's like he knew where he came from.
I assumed he knew right off the bat.
I did too.
Maybe you shouldn't look into your background. Wait, how does Brother Theo know about that?
Right. I very much wrote down Theo knows something's up.
Okay,
and
but
clearly
he didn't. Though. No, but he didn't, because he went and talked to Sheridan. Unless he's lying to Sheridan, he went and talked to Sheridan about it.
He's got to know more than that, because
okay. Consider though that he's in charge. He's in charge of a group of people who have left behind whatever past that they have.
Mm-hmm.
In search of higher meaning, another purpose, the betterment of themselves and their fellow man type of thing. It's kind of like the Foreign Legion, right? We don't care where you come from. We just care where you are now and what you can contribute to the whole. And Theo is very likely, given his age and the fact that he's in charge of all of this, Brother Edward is probably not the first one of these that he's had in his group.
Yeah, it could be.
And with mind wipe or not, you have somebody coming in and says, I really would like to, get away from my past. What can I do different? So whether he knows anything about Edward or not, specifically the position that Edward's in is probably not unique.
I think he's suspected, maybe.
It might be.
And then with
Jeff,
Brother Malcolm.
You're right. He certainly implied that he did know something, but you're right. It might not be specific. It might just be general, like Jason said. Okay. Sorry, go ahead. You were going to say something else about Malcolm?
Well, I was going to say, and obviously that gets reinforced because he actually sought Brother Malcolm out and brought him into the order and deliberately brought him there. So, which begs the question, of course, that's several weeks later. Wow,
quick trial, huh?
Quick trial.
Well, and who did the
where did it happen?
Yeah. Well, he owned what he did with Edward, though, so it's not necessarily like anybody's got to prove that he did it.
That's true.
Was proud of it. He was like, yeah, I did it, and I'll do it again.
But was that deserving of a mind wipe? To be honest, I mean,
well, he killed him. Yeah, I mean, he did kill him.
Yeah, but justifiable. I mean,
I guess
think about it. If you were in, a position like that, where one of your immediate loved ones was brutally disposed of,
and juries can do anything, but it's still murder.
It's just.
I'm just saying, under the law, it would still be murder.
But it wouldn't necessarily have the same. There's a difference between manslaughter and murder.
Sure.
And that would probably be more like a manslaughter. I don't think, or a murder.
I disagree. It was premeditated, and he beat him to. He didn't die immediately, but he died as a consequence. It was planned. Yeah. It wasn't like an accident.
That's first degree, man. Come on.
No jury in the world would convict him.
Well, okay. They
At
did
least-
in the show.
Well, they're not in the world, right?
Well,
They're
it
on
might not have been a jury
space station
either,
out
because
in-
what we saw before was that it was basically a judge that was making these determinations, right? And
yeah, which is a little.
when
But
we
they
saw
Well,
they
well,
did
remember,
they did
they-
say
it's-
jury of 12 peer. They did
did
say
they?
there was a jury of 12 that convicted Charlie.
Oh, okay.
So they did point that out in the news article that he was convicted by a trial.
Okay. Well, sorry, Madman, you wanted to make a point?
Yeah, because there's one thing they didn't bring up, but it's from the past tense on another episode back when Garibaldi was confronting the person who shot him in the back. They still space people weren't found guilty. Also, the one thing they don't bring up, and it's like, they said, well, we got rid of the corporal punishment where we don't electrocute anybody on that, but unfortunately, they do still space people in the Babylon 5 universe.
Military.
That might
military,
be a military thing.
Yeah.
They might not have access to mind wipe and stuff. So
I wanted to point out the kind of the anachronism here. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this search on like 5 terms. Well, that'll take 4 hours.
Yeah.
He
Googled it and it took 4 hours.
Right. I mean, it's so wildly out of date. I mean, it's just one of those things. But also the thing that came out of that, it's like, oh, you have this, and anybody can basically easily look this up. It's like, oh, here's a record of you being that murderer. It's like they go to all this trouble of mind wiping you, but then they have these public records that are easily found. I mean, that was
wasn't that INN news or whatever? So ISN news. So
yeah, but my point is, it was a news story. It's
right.
Not like it wasn't public record. And so it was, I guess if you bothered to look, you'd find it.
Well, the computer said a comprehensive, detailed, information.
Even then, it was still only 4 hours. I mean,
yeah. Well, maybe they had to go back and communicate with her.
I guess they have a lot more records at that point, then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around all these things.
No, it's okay.
Garibaldi and Delenn had a little encounter where, he was basically, he's like, nope, eye for an eye. He said that. He said, I'm an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth kind of guy. And Delenn said, so that just sounds like you end up with, blind people without teeth.
A lot of toothless blind people.
Yeah. It's anybody have any comments?
She didn't get the expression clearly, which I think it's a difference of only the bad people, because he points it out. The bad ones. I mean, everything's got degrees of there's, I guess there's shades of gray on different criminality. Like I said, would somebody whose child was erased been, would they have done would they have sought? Oh yeah, they would be willing to go to jail for the rest of their life. Now, should they get capital punishment for that? Should they get mind wiped? But at any rate, but yeah.
Well, legally, sometimes we have these things called extenuating circumstances, and there are additional conditions that get put onto either charge. Well, you look at the Rob Reiner stuff. Nick Reiner charged with murder with conditions. There's additional stipulations that are attached to the charges that would involve additional punishment, more intense punishment. So even if you're convicted of a lesser crime, let's say, if you have mitigating circumstances around that enhance whatever the punishment is, you could be looking at something like that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the situation set in front of us about that was, it's like, is it, this is like, well, you see, we're not going to be barbarians and kill people anymore. We're going to do this. And it's like,
which is more barbaric. Yeah.
Yeah. It's an open question, right?
It's
the audience.
I think that's a great question that you could examine
it's
in an entire show.
It's not one that I think could be answered truthfully. I don't think anybody can come up with a definitive answer on that. That's one of those, again, as often we have run across in the series thus far. It's one of those things that good sci-fi makes you think. It doesn't tell you what to think. It just makes you think.
Yep. Good point. Okay, I know we're running late here. We've got some big announcement to make, but the last topic that I have, and then we can, or Snob, you can pick it up from there. And it was touched on earlier about Sheridan's encounter with Brother Malcolm and his reaction, because I thought Boxleitner played it pretty well. You know, it's like he looked genuinely shocked, right? It was like,
yeah,
oh my God, because again, he had formed this little attachment to Edward, right? And then Brother Theo gave him, you know, the little sculpture he was working on, and so, you know, he was kind of pissed about the whole thing.
What are you doing here?
Yeah.
And he kind of recoiled too,
right
at first.
Right. Yeah, and it was a little strange because, you know, he's usually pretty cool under fire kind of guy, you know, and it was like he was really like having to hold himself back based on the conversation he had with Brother Theo before that. And then I forget who said it here on the panel, but, you know, Brother Theo was kind of like, remember what we just talked about, you know, kind of thing. I liked it. I thought that was a good scene. Anybody else have any particular thoughts? Jeff?
I thought it was a good twist. And how do you, man, you know, I think maybe it was a test of faith, and a test of, are you true to what you say? You know, do you actually believe the words coming out of your mouth? You know,
and that's what Theo's saying. You know, when he's pointing out to Sheridan, he's like, well, we were just talking about forgiveness, weren't we?
Yes, we were. Indeed. And then he sticks his hand out and he's like,
so indicating that, okay, yeah, I get it, you know.
Lesson learned.
No, you know, the thing is that, and Brad Dourif is great in this, and everybody, you know, Sheridan's face look. This is a great put together for, you know, because, you know, JMS likes to shoot the faces, you know, properly. You know, you look at all the characters and they express themselves, the strength in what the look that they give. I mean, you look at Jakar, you look at Londo, you look at everybody on the show, and it's like they give that thing. In this episode, you had Sheridan that was like, "What are you doing?" You know, he wanted to just reach out and choke the guy, but then he held himself back, you know, to that point. And, you know, it's great seeing, you know, more of this out of JMS when it comes to this series, and, you know, all these facial reactions. You know, you don't get too much of that today in a lot of the shows that you see on. They don't spend too much on facial reactions. They just jump into the reaction and that's it. You know, they punch the person in the face and that's it. It's over. You know.
Yeah. Snob.
I mean, I agree with the points made. I thought that was a great scene. You know, Boxleitner did an awesome job selling. I agree with Dave in the chat. He totally sold it to me. I thought this was a great episode. If you can't figure it out,
sure.
You know, amazed by some of the performances. Just you know, fit in very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to go to the big news, or you want to go to final thought? What was it?
I think I'm just looking over my notes. I think we've covered pretty much everything that we want to cover in the show. So what I thought we would do is that before we go to our final thoughts, rating the episode, that sort of thing, we would make our little announcement that we have. People are, you know, I'm sure people are like, hey, let's find out. And then we would maybe talk about it a little bit and then go on final thoughts. Like if we want to say, if some of the panel want to say something about it, whatever, we go to final thoughts.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Sounds fine.
Sounds good.
Now, I thought here I'm gonna turn off the chat, and I think that Madman is the one who we have to thank for organizing this. So I think he should make the announcement.
I also want to thank David Shifter, also, who helped bring this together on this. This situation here that we're going to be going through, this excitement that we're going to go through.
Oh yeah.
And I guess it's okay to say his name, because if people could look that up, they could figure it out.
They can figure it out. So,
but
ladies and gentlemen,
drum roll.
So, yeah. Do you want a drum roll? Drum roll, please.
Coming January 28th to the Babylon 5 retrospective. He's played a great character on the series. He is Lando Malari, a.k.a. Peter Jurassic from the Babylon 5 TV series, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay.
Awesome.
This is going to be fun.
It's going to be great.
How happy am I that my favorite character is
Yeah.
We got confetti.
So I mean,
Yep.
yeah. So I would, I mean, this is great. I think, I mean, he's definitely one of my favorite characters. Between him and Jacquard, I'm flipping back and forth which one is the best. But yeah, Peter Jurassic has agreed to come on the show and
Jurassic.
live talk about us, and to all the those people who are skeptical in the
had it wrong.
in the chat.
I had
Yeah,
so
Mac,
many people.
Londo's going to be here.
I had so many
Londo is
people.
going to be here.
So many people speculating with me. Oh, you got Claudia Christian coming, don't you? And I was like, I'm not going to tell. I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
Although I will say that I do have what appears to be a direct contact point for her. So I will not rule out the possibility that we could maybe talk to her in the future.
Well, and I'd like to talk to
a lot of people
as well.
Oh, he would be
and
great.
I know Cam likes him too. But the thing about this is, there was people who are like, oh, it's probably the third grip from
the key grip.
I hinted that it was a big name, and to me, the top, the biggest people that you could talk to about Babylon 5 would be,
right
Peter
there.
Jurassic, Andreas Kulasik, Box Leitner or JMS. Those would be the big four. And so I'm pretty.
Sadly, one of those gentlemen is not with us.
Andreas isn't with us anymore, is he?
Yeah.
No.
So those would be the big four. So yeah, it's pretty.
He's here with me in spirit.
It's pretty big.
So this is very exciting.
Hopefully, hopefully after we, if we do a good job, we can, we can reach out to other members of the cast and say, hey, come on the show as well. Tell us about your stuff. Look, we did it with Peter, and he survived. We didn't, make him look bad or make ourselves look bad. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I tell you, when originally we got the news, we were really. I'll tell you, and I said this before. I screamed, literally, when my friend David came and said, "Hey, listen, I know Peter, and would you like to have him on your show?" And it's like, yeah,
yeah. Not just but hell yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how that works sometimes, isn't it?
Yeah. What is Peter lives near my friend David. They're not that far. They're like blocks away from each other. So it's basically they live in the same town together.
And again, in all all joking aside, it's very nice for someone to offer their time for something like this. So again,
we greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh no, David said, you're welcome. Hopefully we'll have him on the show also as well down the line because he is an actor. Yeah. He's done a lot of movies, even in the science fiction world as well.
Sure.
Me and David started back in high school together in public access. So that's where we come from. We're both from the public access era. So, he had a great new show. He moved on to NBC and the networks on there. And then he left the news networks, and went on to an acting career.
Excellent.
Yeah. And so, Madman, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I understand that Peter's now he's a professor at university. Is it North Carolina?
He's teaching acting.
Really?
Teaching acting, and is it University of North Carolina, or was it?
I'm trying. Yeah, it's North Carolina. He's down in North Carolina University. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
And we can ask him all about that.
That would be. Yeah. I'd love to hear what he teaches.
Did you want to Snob review how people can go use the Discord to?
Yeah, so I'm going
in
to
advance of this.
Yeah, so I haven't done it yet, but I'll set up a some sort of something in the Discord saying, ask a question of Peter Jurassic. and you can put your questions in there. And we are gonna, we're not just gonna throw them out there willy nilly. We're gonna review them all, and we're gonna set up a bunch of questions. Our own questions plus the chat's questions, and we'll put them all together. And those, hopefully, those are the questions we asked for. We're still discussing about how the show is going to run, but it will be live. And I'm thinking that maybe we'll be asking the questions, but I think I asked Cam will probably do moderating, so people can post questions in chat. And if they are, no guarantee that we will use the chat questions. We're going to go through the set ones up first. But maybe if a great question comes out, one of us will be like, all right, hey, let's just interrupt or insert this question or get a little more detail on a question that's being asked or something like that. So
yeah, we also don't want to. Yeah, we've got a time frame to fit within. We want to make sure that he's comfortable and not. We don't want to wear him out.
We're gonna start early on the 28th, correct?
We are
8 p.m.
It's a special Eastern prime time episode.
All right, so 8 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, so a little bit. It'll be a little earlier. Yeah. So I'll set that up just after we finish the show here, and people can start posting questions in there. I mean, if there's other ways you want to ask questions, if you want to, if you're not part of Discord, if you want to on the in the comments of this episode, you want to put, if you have a question, you want to post it in there, I'll I'll collect them all. I'll throw it into the Discord, or I'll put it into my bin of questions, and we look them all over.
Yeah,
certainly we're not going to just
direct message us, whatever,
Yeah.
We'll collect them all and put them in one place so we can kind of go through them and make sure because there's probably going to be a lot of duplicates too.
Yeah, of course. And we do. We're big on audience participation in the show. I don't think we can do it too much on the day because it'll just be it could be just a million questions coming. It has to be some sort of moderation. But yeah, I mean I have my questions, but I'm more than happy to if the chat has better questions, we go with them, or if someone else has a better question.
Did we discuss simulcasting this one?
Yes.
We still have to go over that.
Yeah,
on that.
Yeah, that's back behind the scenes.
I'm okay with that, but that's behind the scenes stuff. We can talk about that in detail. I'm okay with it. So,
but at any rate, the news is out now. I can tell everybody that I've been keeping it suspense.
Tell everybody. It almost leaked out a couple times by me, but I was.
Man, yeah, it was tough. It was like,
was that his real hair? Yeah, that's the main. That's the main question I had, right?
Yeah.
Well, in fact, tomorrow I will be talking with Peter directly.
Good.
Getting the introduction. So my friend David's putting us together on that tomorrow. So I don't know at what time, but I know tomorrow I'm going to be receiving a call.
Cool.
And we have Madman is I didn't do anything. I didn't know anything about this. We have Madman to thank for organizing this and talking to his friend and setting it up. So props to him. Thanks, we appreciate it. I'm sure that everyone will appreciate it.
We're good. We're good as a team.
Oh yeah.
All right. Anything else anybody wants to?
Should we
talk? I'm sure we'll talk about it more.
We should probably mention ahead of time, and in the weeks leading up to this, it is likely that our conversation with Mr. Jurassic is going to have some spoilers for future seasons. So we need to be aware. We're not going to be able to sit there and say, "Well, Peter, we've only got."
Don't tell us about that.
3. So so just to keep that in mind.
Yeah, so everybody but me and Madman need to plug their ears.
Well,
either that or just watch all of the show for the in the next 3 weeks.
Between now, watch the entire the rest of the season.
Right.
Yeah. Well, based on the poll I did, a couple months back, most of the people who haven't seen the show, 3 of them. The vast majority of them are on the panel because it's us 3. Most of the people in the chat have seen the.
A lot of people were guessing Bruce Boxleitner.
Yeah.
To me, especially, and they're like, "Oh, don't tell me you've got Tron on." I literally had somebody say that. No, you didn't get Tron on. I'm like,
well, we do have an actor from Tron.
Well, you know what?
Peter
Well,
was also in Tron.
he was in Tron.
I bet that would have given it away.
Funny thing though is, because we've had a lot of our sounders and liners. Tom Kane is our voice, and he, since he's had his stroke, he hasn't been able to do anything. But he's told me some stories in the past about Boxleitner. They know each other.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I really wish that I could just send Tom an email, say, Tom, can we get how can I get in touch with Bruce? But I can't do that now. So it's really, I'm gonna have to dig into IMDb Pro and pull it up that way. But I think Claudia Christian might be the next one that we try to go get. Bill Mumy we could probably get. We'll see.
That's what everybody was getting last week. It was Billy Mumy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody guess that though. I
didn't either. I had Claudia. I had Bruce. I
have to give credit, Lord Mateus, who at some point in time is going to be a guest panelist on the show. I promise. We had him on with us, and he was like dead guessing it, and I'm like, dude, I can't say nothing.
Can't say.
Can't say.
Well, good. He's very happy right now.
But he named it. Yeah, he's like, he's like, oh, that would be so awesome. And I'm like, yeah
I'm looking forward to it.
So. I can't wait to tell you. So now I can tell you.
I'll tell you, there is a great role that he had besides Londo on there. He played the CEO of CBS, Howard Stringer, in the Late Show. Late Shift, the movie about the Tonight Show.
Yeah,
between David Letterman and
Jay Leno.
And Jay Leno, and he played the CBS CEO.
Cool.
Yeah, and the questions. I mean, of course, we're going to be focused more on Babylon 5 but we don't have to limit our questions just to Babylon 5. So,
we want to.
You've got a good. Yeah, we want to expand a little bit.
Because we won't be talking about it. Yeah, we won't be talking about a specific episode for that show. Nope. It'll be all on him.
That show will be all live questions. So So don't be afraid to ask other questions if you want. Okay, I thought I would just change a little. We'll just do a little bit off our normal. I'll just put the trivia questions for next week up, and then we'll go through and do our final thoughts on the episode.
Final grades. Okay.
All right. Let me just. All right, I gotta switch this. And then we go to here.
Reverse.
What the heck? What happened? It's backwards. How did that happen? All right. Well, you know what? I'll just put it back, and I'll just read the questions. I'll get it sorted out for next week. I don't know how the hell did it go.
We'll do it live.
Anyway. We do it live. All right. So the questions for next week, for this episode: Who beats Sheridan in a game of chess? They're not hard questions. How many days did Lita drift in the life pod before the Vorons made contact? What is another name for the death of personality? What was the color of the rose? And what are the words written in blood? So I think we pretty much went over all the questions.
Yeah.
We discussed them all. So a little easy this week, but that's okay. We want to start out. Jeff, do you want to start out?
Overall, this was
thoughts on the show.
Yeah, this was a great episode. It made you think, and like I alluded to before, or outright said, good sci-fi is one that makes you think, doesn't tell you what to think. And I think this episode exemplified that. The actor that portrayed Brother Edward he gave you those chills, he gave you that uneasy feeling, kind of like you knew something was up, and you didn't quite know, you couldn't quite put your finger on it until, of course, it came out later on. Interesting about the little snip with where we see Lita and her gills. Some interesting things that also came out about Valen. Just kind of hints. I think they're dropping more breadcrumbs for the future, but it's going to be interesting. Overall, I'm going to say, I think I'll give this one. I'll give it a 9 for the acting. The acting was really good. I think overall it was pretty good.
Jason.
I'm going to give it 8.5 out of 10. I thought it was very effective. I especially like the discussion of redemption and forgiveness and how you have, and it really speaks to Straczynski's integrity and skill as a writer that he's able to do that without turning it into a pastiche or a parody or anything like that. I'm not sure what they're going to do with Lita yet. But it was overall, I thought it was a really good episode.
All right,
and I managed to stay awake throughout this entire episode.
You did.
Look at that.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
So,
bucket list. Right on.
Right.
Mad Men.
This is a fantastic episode. 9 out of 10. I give it. I mean, quoting a line out of Doctor Who on there: "Man has reached into space, and so is the Catholic Church." I mean, you have religion set in here, very well done. As Jason was saying, for a writer that's that he doesn't believe in it, but yet he wrote some great quotes into this story that was very strong and powerful to the situation. And Brad Dourif itself played it very well, and so did Brother Theo as well. Sheridan, had on there. And the other thing is, we are also foreshadowing in this episode too. What has happened to Lita? What has she changed? Has she become something else? Only time will tell to that point. So 9 out of 10.
Yeah. Just to answer the chat question, of the panelists, Cam and Mad Men have seen the entire show, all 5 seasons. Myself, Jason, and Jeff are watching it for the first time and not going ahead. I've only seen up to this episode, and I'm carrying on the same way, and the 3 of us are. So we're 3 are virgins. So yeah. Okay. Cam, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to give it a 8.5. Again, everyone probably is familiar with my preferences and things for strong storyline, and this one wasn't strong storyline. It was kind of a side story with Brother Edward, but it was done very well, though. If it was just on that basis, I'd say it's 9.5. The performances were all good. I did like, and I liked that it kind of went around with the different characters that used the cast very well. So it was very enjoyable. It's just, a matter of what I'm most interested in. So, but very solid episode.
Was Jakar in this one?
No.
Okay.
No.
Not at all.
I just realized he was.
Yeah. So just on spoilers in the for the show, it's been we've said this in the show very often, but yeah, if you're new, maybe you haven't heard it before. It's a 30-year-old show. Spoilers are there's a 72-hour limit on spoilers. So if you're in the chat, people are free to say whatever they want. We try to avoid spoilers in the show itself. Just because Jason, Jeff, and I are starting to preserve our virginity, so to speak. But
we're saving ourselves.
If you want to talk in the chat about whatever you want, go ahead. And we try to avoid them. But if you're in the chat and you want to avoid spoilers, you're gonna have to look away or mute people or something. Yeah.
Well, personally, I'm not that bothered by it. So.
Yeah, and there's some things that I think some of the 3 of us have already learned through our own accidental. Oops! I discovered something that I didn't want to know yet.
Well, I'm for me myself. I'm often doing research or
right.
Something to do something for an episode.
It makes it hard.
It makes it, you're bound to come up with something, that comes up.
Yeah,
but
I've done the corporate egg
to
on Jeff a couple of times, smacking the head. It's like, why are you jumping ahead?
Yeah, we hope we're gonna love what's coming. Yeah, we're looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it, and every episode gets better. Okay, so it was my turn, right?
Yes.
I thought this was a great episode. This is one of the best. I think this might be the best episode in my view so far. I would give it a 9.5. The discussion of forgiveness. I mean, a lot of people have said this already. Discussion of forgiveness, justice, the aspect of religion that's built in there. The performances by brother, especially brother Edward, Brad Dourif, awesome. And again, like you guys have mentioned, Sheridan at the end with the look on his face when he sees brother Malcolm. Some great performances, great discussion of religion and those aspects of it. The writing, top notch, excellent. I'm 9.5. I can't think of a better.
I think that's his highest rating on the show.
It is my highest rating.
Is.
I don't ever go. I was completely surprised. I agree with Cam that it's not really a major part of at least that I can see right now, major part of the storyline, but all the other aspects of it, just a great piece of science fiction, harkening back to the Star Trek style where you've got this question and you examine it in detail. Really well done. Great direction by Adam Nimoy. And surprised that JMS is such a good writer that he can, is, like I said, supposedly an atheist, but treat this topic so honestly and not as a caricature or anything. So I'm surprised by that. I think this is his best written episode so far anyway.
Wow. That's pretty high marks from you, man.
Yeah, it's pretty high marks from me. You're right. I'm surprised myself.
And yet wait till next week.
I've already seen part of the episode.
I have not.
Next week.
And
it looks like another good one.
Not to spoil it, but Sheridan's going to go where everyone else has gone before.
It's yeah.
Oh, he's gonna sleep with Jakar Orlando, which.
No, come on. Next week looks like a good episode already. I usually watch the opening sequence of it after, so I know where we're going a little bit. But
I don't know.
Dave thinks this episode of the Babylon 5 Retrospective show is the best thus far. Yes,
really
well written. Thanks to Cam for this writing skill for this episode. Okay,
since it's been mentioned a few times, Adam Nimoy directing we had an interesting conversation about that aspect of his career when I interviewed him on Bunker. And it turns out he did it because he felt like he that was the direction everybody expected him to go.
Yeah.
And it turns out he didn't really take to it as much as he expected he would.
Well, he's pretty good at it.
So it. I guess
did a good job.
maybe I should go back and find the link to that so you guys could watch.
Well, Cam already posted the link.
Did he?
I will post it
I
again.
think, can we repost it again?
Yep.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to, let's repost that right now. And if anybody wants to check that out, that should be good.
And I do want to recommend his book. To Grok Spock, it's called The Most Human, and it's a look at his relationship with his dad, and there's a lot of really good stuff in there with regard to mental health and coping skills and that kind of thing. There's a lot of good stuff in there. I highly recommend the book.
All right, let's go. What's coming up on your show, Jason, and then Jeff?
Well, at some point, I'm hoping to get Paul DeGarabedian on from ComScore. I haven't heard back from him yet. I'm wanting to get him on this week so we could do kind of a look back at 2025 box office and do some projections and predictions for 2026. Today, we took a look a little bit more at what's going on with Paramount and Warner Brothers. and Netflix. I mean, that's a mess that's really going to it's going to be bad all the way around. And at some point, I'm hoping, depending on the answer that I get back from the emails that I've sent, I'm hoping maybe to get Justine Bateman on to talk about her concerns with regard to AI in the industry and stuff. I've sent out a number of invitations to various people. I've sent an invitation to Zachary Levi. I've sent an invitation to Sydney Sweeney, and we'll see what happens. But tomorrow is just kind of a business as usual episode. 1 p.m. Eastern is when we start.
Okay, Jeff.
All right. Coming up this Sunday on the Bad News Bards at 9 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have Tom Wilson on with us. He just his Kickstarter just fulfilled, and good book. This one is actually designed for Shadow Dark. He also created a con called Shire Con. So we're going to be talking to him about his book, anything else he's got in the works, and his con. His con came highly recommended by a fellow YouTuber, DM Bloodworth, and as well as a few others. So a lot of them like Shire Con. So should be a good discussion.
This is not the same Tom Wilson that played Biff Tannen.
No. No, this is Tom, Thom is how he spells it. So, but the Kremlin keep Kashmir. So,
all right, go ahead, Man.
Okay, we got a couple of videos next week. Yes, we will be talking about the Warner Netflix. We have a video dropping next week on that. We also be talking about Utah putting on a adult tax, if you know what I mean by that, upon the internet and other services on there. Then that's being put in their sphere right now. Right now, they're passing a bill onto that. We'll be discussing that on Monday's Madman Cafe, unless something changes in the news feed. And in fact, Jason, I just dropped you this article too. We'll be talking about viewership on the networks that in the last 10 years it's plummeted. That is this truly the beginning of the end of network television? We'll have that next on Madman Cafe. That's Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on YouTube, X, and Rumble.
All right, right on. Cam.
I have nothing other than showing up when people tell me to on their shows.
Yeah.
Can you come Monday?
Well, so
maybe.
I do have a stream on Monday that I'm on too as well with Chubby Funster. We're playing Shadow Rim. I think it'll be our fifth actual game session. So interesting. I only played with Skyrim when it first came out, and then I got busy with school. So my knowledge of that is limited to the predecessor video games that came out before that. But that's been kind of fun too. And if I get out early enough, I'll try and join Man on his show.
Boo.
I'm sorry, man. You know.
Well, by the way, Cam, have you seen the W magazine cover with Sydney Sweeney on it?
No.
In all gold.
Yeah,
I'm sure I will do that on the update.
She's painted up. She's painted up.
She's painted up in all gold.
Gold body paint.
Oh,
golden girl.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, body paint.
I know a few people. I know a few people that are going to be getting that copy.
Gotta go, guys. See you later.
Yeah.
So
All right.
This Sunday, the Top Lofty Lounge, of course. What are we talking about? I don't know yet. We'll figure it out. But of course,
it's
the
always
main
a surprise.
thing you have to remember, it's always a surprise, even to me.
Tools and jokes.
And of course, next week, episode 5 for this Babylon 5. And of course, our big announcement for tonight, the 28th of January, we're going to have a live interview, special guest Peter Jurassic from the series, who plays Londo. All right. get your questions in. I've set up the channel in the Discord waiting for questions. You could go and put them in there. Or, of course, you could leave the questions in the comments to this show or send them to one of us. However you want to do it, no problem.
And get ready to drink some Bravati.
All right. That's it for the show, everyone. Thanks for coming by. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you are excited as we are for our interview in 3 short weeks or so. 21 days? Yeah, should be good. All right. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.